Hey everybody, this is Jake Smith. Welcome to Rankr Esports Weekly, the ninth installment.
Man, that's getting up there.
We're one away from our 10th anniversary of weeks.
We're gonna have to like drop confetti or something from the ceiling.
Yeah.
So we'll just have Josh thrown in from the side.
Yeah.
That's a little too much.
Like ripped up paper.
Exactly.
That'd be really
so
sad.
If you have watched the show before, you know what we do. If you haven't, we talk about some industry stuff. We're actually trying something new today. Then we talk about events and then Rankr Esports stuff because we like to talk about what it's like working on an esports startup, especially in a time like now. So First off, for industry stuff, MLG Columbus had the highest viewership of any CS major ever. It peaked at 1.3 million concurrents, which is...
That's so many.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so many.
Yeah, and then you talk about just it being the highest ever compared with some of the other events we had, and it's cool because it's in America.
Yeah.
So we take pride in that.
Heck yeah.
Heck yeah.
America.
Heck yeah.
Can't exactly brag about the results, but we can brag that it happened
Yeah,
here.
definitely. The results weren't too bad for him. I mean, like getting like a team into the semifinals was impressive. There's always there's always NA hate. NA hate, but yeah.
NA nades.
NA
So it was really cool seeing the viewership so high. The concurrents were great.
Yeah.
And I mean, we were at the event when it broke 1 million. On the screen, they circled the number of people that were watching, which was sweet.
Yeah, it was so cool.
Yeah, and all the players were so excited by it too.
Yeah,
because it just makes them feel like what they're doing is more worthwhile.
It's a million.
The crowd,
yeah.
I didn't see the crowd when it hit 1 million, but I'm sure they went nuts, and that only
crowd
encourages
definitely
more.
It's almost like 1.5
million
million people. Like you're just going crazy.
Yeah. So the second big thing on our industry talk today, UC Irvine in California is the first public school in the nation to offer esports scholarships. Mm-hmm. So we've seen, Robert Morris, Pikeville, however you say it.
Yeah.
They've started doing esports scholarships, but that's a private school. So now that it's a public school.
That's a big part of the news with the Irvine.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not news at a school as at a scholarship, but it's the public part.
Yeah, the public school, that means it has to go through more stuff and taxpayer dollars are going towards it. So UC Irvine, as a school, has had really big success in esports already. Mm-hmm. Like they've had teams go to the NACL for League of Legends, Heroes of the Dorm, whatnot. But it's just another example of how esports are growing and how they're becoming more and more important in normal life.
Mm-hmm. Well, like the big thing for me is it shows it's being more socially accepted. I mean, that's huge. Like a public university, people always like talk about how there's athletes that go to college and the other students like, oh, I pay for their school.
Yeah.
They're kind of grumpy about it, but they still buy season tickets to watch the games.
Yeah.
Now their money's going to varsity esport players.
Video games.
Be on scholarship. The main reason they're going to be going to school.
Yeah.
Student athlete first. I guess student e-athlete. I guess I need to broaden that a little now.
Yeah.
Student cyber athlete.
I think
I think go e-athlete. Than
so many terms.
We'll see what sticks.
Yeah.
Throw a few words against the wall.
Yeah, so it's super cool. And I mean, there was one story with Robert Morris, one of the players in high school. He was like, I can't afford to go to college, but I want to. So he was good at League of Legends. And he would only get the tier 1 or like the tier 2 scholarship, but he dedicated a lot of time to getting better, got better, so he got the esports scholarship that he needed, and because of that, he could go to college.
And the big thing about that, what you just said is, I want to go to college, but I can't, is what so many athletes say. You talk to so many professional athletes that were able to get drafted highly out of college.
Yeah.
They all started, most of them honestly started from like a not affluent background at all, just like raised very lower middle class, but they found an niche in sports, loved it, latched onto that, and because of that, they were able to get an education, and now they're making a great living, obviously.
Yeah, and that's honestly my favorite part of that entire thing. Like, I love that esports are growing and they're getting scholarships, but it's the ability to let people get an education if they want because of esports.
I think it's like really cool because over the weekend, I actually met a dad. He was at the major with his son, and he and I started talking, and he went in depth.
I'm sure your dad jokes were great.
I actually wrote more down. But he and I were talking, and I was saying, hey, there's kids that are going to universities on scholarships for this, and he's like, oh, you think you'll ever get into high school? And I was like, it's already in high school. It's like, people are already going to high school, and it's like the younger
people are going to high school.
I mean, people are like, it's high schoolers. He thought it was more or less his son is a freshman in high school, and he was there with his son. He didn't understand any of it, but he was there to support his son. And I was like, there's already scholarships and everything on this, which gave legitimacy to it. And he started warming up to it more. Because at first when we started talking, he's like, I don't really understand this. I don't get any of it. So I think this public school, having this go through, it's really important. I think it's really neat just to see it happen.
Yeah, and props to that dad for not being a fan.
There were a lot of
there were so many parents there like that. Like,
let's move on.
Cool.
Let's move on to our third
esports
topic.
Kids needed rides. The mom had to pick us up.
There's a lot of younger kids.
Yeah, that's why the parents.
Let's move on to our third topic, which we're kind of trying something new. It's less of an industry news thing, more of something that happens in the industry, and we want to comment on it. This week at MLG Columbus, and there have been other examples of it, are people, players, or casters, or something outside of the the hot mic where it accidentally happens. People swearing on camera during an event with knowing they're doing it. Adam from MLG, he said "abso effing lutely" to "Will MLG continue to do Counter-Strike?" So I think we should just kind of, what do you guys think? First off, is that okay? I personally don't. I understand that happens on accident, but I don't think it should be done purposefully.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. It's kind of like a weird area for it because you have professional athletes, they swear on the court, but like you're actually like in a mic.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I
the
mean?
announcers.
Like, the announcers, like I don't remember ever watching like a baseball game and somebody going "abso effing lutely." You know what I mean? Like. I wouldn't expect Bob Uecker to like say that like oh, that was a great hit by so and so, like, and then So I personally think it's like a weird gray area that the community, because I think the community really gets into it, but I think at one point you're gonna have more money coming in and more brands that are not gonna be so like warm up to that idea. Do you know what I mean?
So what do you think?
A big thing is just around the idea of Twitch. Like Twitch is 100% live, and it's just, and people love it. Like there's the little production value and just the actual like what you
I would say low production value anymore.
What you see, what you get,
and that's what I was getting into, because like personal streams, like it's whatever people want. The smaller tournaments,
personal streams. We're not talking about that. If you want to swear on your own stream, totally fine, because that's yours.
Yeah,
but then like you get into the larger events, and like these like events like MLG are the equivalent of events like an E-League, which is going to be televised, where they're going to not allow swearing.
Yeah, that's what getting more into the bigger, like larger.
Yeah, like the larger tournament, the more respectable. Because the big thing I hear or I feel about swearing is no one's gonna think more of you for swearing.
Yeah.
But people will think less.
That's a good point.
Yeah, and with esports, the demographic that there is, it does go down to I met a 12-year-old at MLG Columbus who was a higher rank than me. Mm-hmm. I'm sad to say that. But
he's a prodigy.
He was going over something, and I'm not saying he shouldn't be exposed to it because he plays the game. Obviously, he is. But as a whole, I think it's just it's not good for esports.
And yeah, we had a really long discussion on the car ride yesterday about toxicity, and this is like really getting into the toxicity and it bleeding into if this is going to be on TBS. Like, what's it gonna look? You know what I mean? Like, so it's just super interesting, like how the toxicity and that's gonna be affected, because now esports are gonna be more in the limelight, and how that's gonna be handled.
It's only getting bigger and bigger and wants to become more respectable, more professional, and this is kind of like a crutch hold.
It's a crutch. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, it's frustrating when it happens, and then there are the examples. So Moses at Columbus, there was a thing where his mic was left on when it wasn't supposed to be, and he dropped a 2-word swear that
GG,
one starts with M, the other starts with F.
But I mean, even he wishes that he wouldn't have said that. So that kind of shows his perspective on should we be swearing or not.
Yeah, and he was like, oh,
he was embarrassed by it.
It's more when it happens purposely, and it's happened in League. It's happened in Counter-Strike. There's an example of it in every game. But during the All-Star game at Columbus, they went to the players and their voice comms. Is that the smartest thing to do? Because they're in a span of 30 seconds, there were like 5 or 6.
Yeah.
I've heard that a lot going back to the Hearthstone Red Bull brawl together when they go into teams, making teams, or creating their decks, and it was just a mess.
Yeah. So it's one of those things. It will grow as the industry grows and as the productions grow. So TBS is a great example of a new standard. But let's move to events. There were some events that happened. One of them is Heroes of the Storm Spring Championship. We can't get too far in depth with that, but we want to congratulate MVP Black for the 2-0 win. Congratulations.
Golf clap.
Golf clap. There also was, obviously, MLG. We've done a few recap videos day by day, but later we will be putting out a full MLG Columbus recap video. Just with how much happened and how many highlights there are, it's going to take some time to make that.
But we can give a congratulations to Luminosity.
Luminosity, golf clap, guys. Good job.
And a shout out to my boy Taka.
Yes.
So then the third one, LCS playoffs. We were at Columbus, so Louis, you were watching LCS all weekend.
This is all yours.
A lot of league, and it was crazy. I mean, there were 2 6-over-3 matchups, 6-over-3 matchups on Saturday. TSM, or not, that was the next day. Or no, it was the first day. It was Fnatic over Vitality, which the names themselves is not like a huge upset, but Fnatic came in and just dominated.
Yeah.
You hear everyone talk about how like great the organization of Fnatic is, and it says a lot to the organization because they completely revamped their team. And you look at Vitality, brand new team, but they have this like a similar amount of players who were in LCS as Fnatic. So it's not like one team was at a huge advantage.
Yeah.
And they just looked like an incredible 6 seed. Just dominating Vitality. They dropped one game, and that's just because they lost it easily in the pick ban phase. And then TSM, Cloud9.
Always. We joked about this in our League of Legends LCS preview. We were joking, TSM's a 6 seed, but they're going to end up winning just because they always perform
and
well
that was
in
the
playoffs.
punchline. And then you watch the series, they get destroyed game 1. So everyone's like, okay, we'll see.
That's the
easy
TSM
3-0.
manner.
And then they just look so dominant over C9. And it's funny because there were a lot of interviews with Double Lift, and he's a confident guy, and he's not shying away from like putting down other teams. He's like, oh yeah, like I just play well against C9 because they just don't have a lot of they have a lot of weaknesses. It's easy to pick them apart. And everyone's like, oh okay, like look who's talking, and then sure, just 3 games in a row, take him out.
People are like, he's going to eat those words.
Yeah.
And then
exactly.
One thing that TSM did, that Bryce, who was on the LCS preview, what he said was, TSM needs to do this, and this to win. And we were all like, yeah, TSM knows that. And that's exactly what they did. So it worked really well for TSM, and, they're on to the semis against Immortals.
Yeah, and then for the next day, Origin beat Unicorns in just what wasn't a pretty series. Good for Origin winning, but Unicorns, the casters were just amazed at the mistakes they were making. As you see 2 guys pass the reward, and you try to extend for a couple extra farm and then just die instantly.
Yeah.
Just little mistakes like that.
Bit, shouldn't have happened.
Shouldn't happen in the LCS.
Yeah.
And then Liquid over Energy. Liquid is looking so strong right now. Dardoch was a monster. You should have seen his Lee Sin game. Oh my god. I think it went about 11, 2, and 6. And it was still like a sub 30-minute game. And Piglet and Matt just look like the best bot lane in the LCS.
Yeah, so then what are the matchups for this weekend?
EU, it's G2 versus Fnatic, which is funny because Perks of G2 was on the caster desk, and he was the only one to pick Fnatic, and he was complimenting them, and then they ended up winning. He's like, oh yeah, they're still going to get whooped. They still have a chance against G2. So G2 Fnatic, which should be a lot of fun because Fnatic just looks so strong, and they look as strong as a 1 or 2 seed right now. And then H2K Origin, which should probably go to H2K, but I guess we'll talk about more of that later in the week.
Yep.
And then in NA, you have Immortals versus TSM, which should be a lot of fun.
I'm rooting Immortals.
Yeah, but you also rooted for C9.
Ooh.
You did predict them. And then it has CLG Liquid, which should also be just as competitive.
Yeah, cool. So that's this weekend on Saturday and Sunday. And then there's also on the Counter-Strike front, DreamHack Malmo, which has most of the similar teams from Columbus. It's just on a smaller scale.
Except for Fnatic.
Except for Fnatic and G2. Something like that. But super quick before we wrap up, we got to cover an event this week. We were there, and just really quickly, because we do have to get going. What was it like for you being at MLG Columbus, being a part of the crowd, just being there as a fan also.
It was an incredible experience. I didn't know what to expect. I mean, I've gone to sporting events, and I didn't know what I was expecting, and I was just blown away. This entire thing, I kept going on Reddit, and everybody was like, "This is the best event we've ever had," and it was really cool because that was my first event. So like, I guess now I have that. Now I have that. Yeah, exactly. Spoiled. Now I have that standard. So it was just amazing. It felt exactly like the screens, the crowd, the energy was there. It just felt. It was so cool. It was just so cool.
Legitified.
Legitified. No, it was. I am so glad I went. It was an amazing experience. Like, I have a lot of words to say about it, but that's all I can say really. It was a cool event.
Yeah, and for me, I mean, I've been to 1 or 2 esports events, and that was
in Korea. You kind of have to.
Just 1 or 2 like. Every 3 days while I lived there. And I'd been to Season 3 Worlds for League and 4, but that was my first CS major.
Yeah.
And it was so cool. I had never heard a crowd get that crazy. I was sitting next to someone, he said, I live here, I've been to hockey games here where there are 25,000 people. I haven't even heard it close to as loud as it is right now.
The energy was just so...
yeah, and then hanging out backstage with the news, the other press outlets, and some of the players and everything. It was the coolest weekend.
It's a great community.
It was great. And I'm excited to go to more.
We knew that, but
I'm really excited to go to more.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So, sadly, we do have to wrap up. Check out our YouTube page for more videos that we'll be releasing pretty soon about certain events, LCS, Columbus, whatnot. Make sure to check us out on Facebook. You can like us there, or you can follow us on Twitter or Instagram. Or you can go to rankeresports.com to sign up and start playing more competitively. Thanks for watching.
See you guys.
See ya.
Sign up at rankeresports.com to get ranked, build a team, and find events. Rankr, play together, win together.